I think most of us were shocked when the 2025 Social Security Fairness Act was passed. This is a significant change for millions of Americans and thousands of our TRS members, yet there are so many questions that have to be answered. So that's why we're here today, to get some of those questions answered about Social Security and the Act itself. And this is not just for TRS members, but also your family, your friends, and your coworkers. So make sure you share that with them. So that's why we're here. This is a TRS Talks. Welcome back to our live stream series that's here to help you prepare for your retirement planning. And we know that your retirement planning is not just your TRS benefit, but also other factors. So we want to continue to bring in subject matter experts to help you get the information that you need. So make sure that you're liking, subscribing, and tuning into this channel and the other social media channels that we have out there to get notifications about future events. So with us today, we have Cindy Lundquist, who brings more than 5 decades of knowledge and experience on Social Security. She began her career with the Social Security Administration in 1972, working her way up to a high-profile position as executive assistant to the regional commissioner of the Social Security Administration in Atlanta, Georgia in 1987, where she remained an integral part of the organization until she retired in 1999. Since retirement from the federal workforce, Cindy is a professional retirement consultant advising clients and teaching employees in the public and private sector about retirement plans, 401ks, Social Security, and Medicare, and we will not let her retire. Cindy is a frequent speaker for private and public audiences, including financial and law firms, insurance companies, Fortune 500 corporations, and government agencies. Cindy graduated with honors from Georgia State University, go Panthers, with a degree in finance. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you. Thank you, Winston. Glad to be here, always with you. Have a good time.
And it's a pleasure having you. You know, your last video was a hit. That video got over 6,000 views in the last few months.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me again. Let's see if we can beat it.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure we will with this topic and the information that you bring. All right. So we got some questions that we curated from our members. You ready to go at it?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. So let's start with the first one. We're going to start with some general questions about Social Security and then go into the Fairness Act.
Okay. Deal.
All right. So the first one we have is people want to know, what is the Social Security calculation?
Well, the calculation is very complex, but the most important thing for everyone to understand is when Social Security is ready to calculate how much your monthly amount will be, is they're going to use your highest 35 years of earnings that you paid Social Security taxes on those earnings. So if you don't have 35 years of earnings that you didn't pay Social Security taxes on, you're going to have some zeros that average out and make your benefits smaller. So it's based on your highest 35 years of earnings in a very complex formula that we don't need to talk about. But once we come up with that average of Social Security earnings and formulas applied to it, then you have your monthly amount. But if you take benefits before your full retirement age, which for a majority of our audience would probably be 67 years old, if you start them at 62, they are reduced. So there's a formula, 35 years of earnings used, but then there could be a reduction because of age.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, speaking about those zeros, you know, we have some teachers and or people that come into TRS as a second career. So one of the questions that we have is from a member, this is my second career as a substitute teacher, and I have paid into Social Security for 10 years. Will I be able to receive Social Security benefits because I paid into it for at least 10 years while substituting?
Absolutely. So Social Security doesn't care where you earned and when you earned the earnings. They could have been when you were in high school and college, and then later on you worked as a substitute teacher. They don't care how and when you earned them. They just want to make sure that you have your 40 quarters or 40 credits so that you can draw a check. So it does not matter.
Gotcha. Okay. That's good to know. All right. Now, this, at our last half-day seminar, we had a lot of questions around spousal benefits.
Yes.
All right. So people want to know what qualifies for a spousal benefit.
To receive as a spouse, and I'm going to talk about a spouse being a current spouse, meaning you're not a widow or a widower, you're a current spouse. You must be married at least 12 months to be eligible. So if you married and you wanted to start your Social Security and you'd only been married a month, you're not going to be eligible. You have to be married at least 1 year. Also, in order to receive as a spouse, you must have not only the 1 year, you have to be old enough. So if your husband or wife starts their Social Security and you want to draw on their record and you're only 58 years old, even though they're drawing, you can't draw. You have to be old enough or have minor children under the age of 16 in your care. There are also divorced spouses that can receive. A divorced spouse can receive if they were married to you for 10 years and they're currently unmarried. So if you, for example, if I was married, 10 years, got a divorce, never worked, never paid into Social Security, got a divorce, and then I got married again. But that marriage didn't last but a year or two, and I'm now divorced. I could still go back to my first husband's record and file on it. But if you have your own Social Security and it's more than half of your husband's or your wife's Social Security, you can't receive on both. You'll receive one or another. So don't think every spouse can receive on somebody else's record. Gotcha. There's some real strict rules that you have to meet.
Okay. So that's good to know about the age.
Yeah.
All right. So that kind of leads into this question. Are spousal benefits claimable if the Social Security eligible person is still working and not retirement age?
You cannot. So in order for you to draw as a spouse, not only do you have to be old enough and you're not eligible and you've been married long enough, the worker themselves must be receiving a benefit themselves. So they have to be receiving. Now, you know, the rules with Social Security are very difficult, Winston. You know that I can always have, but there's a but there. If you are a divorced spouse, even if the worker is not receiving, a divorced spouse could receive on the record as long as the worker was at least 62. And you have to be divorced at least 2 years. So a current wife or husband may not receive as a spouse, but an ex-husband or an ex-wife could receive even if the worker wasn't receiving. But the worker has to be 62.
Oh, wow.
So I always have a but in there that I have to add.
I got you. Okay. So for ex-spouses, does the ex-spouse have to know about the spousal benefit?
They do not.
Oh, wow.
So I could tell many stories about current spouses saying, or the worker themselves saying, I don't want my ex-spouse to receive anything. And I said, you don't have any choice in it. The law is the law. If they're eligible, they're eligible. And I'm asked the question quite frequently, well, will they let me know? And the answer is no.
Wow.
As long as Social Security has the proper documents showing that they were married and divorced, but married at least 10 years, then
Gotcha.
They're eligible.
Okay. All right. So here's another one. I am 64 years old and plan to start receiving my Social Security retirement in 2 months. When I reach my full retirement age, can I apply to receive half of my husband's Social Security benefits if he is already reached his full retirement age and is receiving benefits?
So this is a tricky question. So I'm going to answer it the way I heard it. So I start my own Social Security at 64, and my husband is drawing his Social Security already. Can I wait and start my own, and then when I turn full retirement age, start receiving on my husband's? When you file, and the answer is no. When you file your application on your own, you are deemed to have filed on his at the same time. So you can't do a strategy to try to get a bigger benefit off of his. Now, if he was not receiving, then of course, when he starts receiving, you could apply on his record. And if there was more payable, you would receive it at that time. So it's one of those, it kind of depends. It depends.
Gotcha. Wow. So many moving parts.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts.
Now, you mentioned something before about being married and remarrying. So here's a question kind of regarding that. I was married to my first husband for 21 years. He passed away in 2010. I got remarried and I am single now. Can I draw Social Security from my first husband of 21 years?
Absolutely. So if you, excuse me, as long as you're currently unmarried, then you can still receive on that first husband's record. If you meet all the criteria, the age, if it was, you're probably married to them at the time of death, absolutely, there's no problem whatsoever. And should the person have been receiving benefits and then remarried after age 60, it would not terminate the benefit. And that's an age criteria that Social Security, I guess, doesn't look at this old person getting married at 60 or older. So, so it does not terminate it if they're receiving it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. I'm sure that's helpful for some people.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Now, this one came up at the half-day seminar.
Yeah.
I am receiving a Social Security benefit from another country and have enough credits to receive a benefit here in the U.S. Would my foreign benefit affect my Social Security benefit from the U.S.?
The answer is no. It would have before the Fairness Act was approved. So when that law went into place, the windfall doesn't apply, nor does the government pension offset apply to that other benefit. So it's two separate checks. You'll receive the foreign pension, and you'll receive your own Social Security. No issues whatsoever.
All right. Well, that's right on time. Let's get into some questions about the Social Security Fairness Act.
All right.
All right. And if this is helpful for you, again, make sure that you're liking and subscribing and sharing this with your friends.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So what exactly is the Social Security Fairness Act?
The Social Security Fairness Act is a law that was passed by the House and Senate last December, and President Biden signed on January 5th of this year. And what this law does, it eliminates two provisions that affected individuals that receive pensions from the government, whether it's a city, state, county, federal government entity, that they didn't pay Social Security taxes on their earnings to earn their pension from that government entity. So since we're here with TRS, it's easiest for me to talk about the teachers in Georgia. Some of the teachers in Georgia pay into Social Security, some of them do not, and some of them have a combination thereof. So the teachers that work their entire working career under TRS and did not pay into Social Security, not whatsoever, if they had enough credits to draw a Social Security check, which a lot of them do or did, there is something called the windfall elimination provision that produced a smaller Social Security check for them. And then there was another law that was part of it that's called the government pension offset provision, that if you received a government pension, again, the TRS pension, that you did not pay Social Security taxes on it to earn it, 2/3 of your TRS pension would offset a spousal benefit. So it was a double whammy, in my eyes, for a lot of teachers that never paid into Social Security. And this law is not just for teachers. It's for policemen. It's for firefighters. It's for me, a federal retiree under the old retirement system. So it's far reaching. It's not just teachers. But the law now eliminated the provisions that the government pension offset will no longer apply to a spousal benefit, nor will the windfall elimination provision that gives you a smaller check, even though you paid into Social Security, maybe in a second career, it will not lower your amount. So there are two very, very big laws that affect a lot of the people that work under the TRS system in the state of Georgia and other states as well.
Wow. Okay. That's excellent. And again, like I stated in the beginning, I was shocked that this passed. I was a little pessimistic about it. So how difficult was it to pass this act?
Oh, it's been very difficult to pass this act. The law that actually came into being that had the windfall elimination provision, and the government pension offset was passed in 1983 and became effective for individuals in 1985. So you think about that, that's 40 years we've had this law in place. And every year, and I think it started in the 90s. I can't tell you exactly when the legislation started being introduced on an annual basis to eliminate the provision or to make it less strict so that people could benefit from their hard work or from their spouse's hard work. And every year, when the congressional year ended, the bills would just die on the House floor. So I've been seeing this go on since the 90s. And honestly, I have been saying for years, I don't think it'll ever pass. And nobody likes to be wrong, Winston. I don't ever want to be wrong, but I'm really glad that I'm wrong. I didn't think it would pass, but it did pass. So it was a long time coming, is what I would say. A very long time coming.
For sure. A long time coming. But now we're here and people are asking, okay, this is great, but when am I going to get my money? Show me the money. Okay.
So this is what I want everyone to listen very closely to. Those individuals that are affected by the windfall elimination provision. So what I'm going to do it separately. I'm going to talk windfall first, and for you to understand the differences. The windfall elimination are for individuals that did not pay into Social Security, that are receiving a pension that's based on work not covered by Social Security, and they're going to get a Social Security check on their own. So all of the people that have the windfall elimination and get a smaller Social Security check right now today, they will automatically have their benefit recalculated to eliminate the windfall elimination provision. And because the law was written as such, it will be paid retroactively back to January of 2024. It will automatically be done. But this is my word of warning for all of you. There are a lot of people that are impacted by this law, not just the people here in Georgia, but all over the United States. And I had the pleasure of talking to someone today with Social Security, and I have read it as well, but I was told by a Social Security official, be patient. It's going to take no less than a year probably to get everyone paid. So I don't want you to think next month you're going to get a bigger check. I am saying you don't plan on it for at least a year. But the good news is it will be retroactive till January of 2024 if you were receiving a Social Security check back in January of 2024. So that's the good news. But I want you to have patience. Now, with the government pension offset, I would say the same thing for the government pension offset for all of you that have made application for a spousal benefit on your husband or wife's record, and you received the letter from Social Security saying, based on your pension, you're not eligible or you're going to get a smaller check because of the government pension offset provision. So all of you that have made application and have received that letter, you will automatically have your benefit recalculated and give you the benefit that you're entitled to receive based on the Fairness Act. And that will be done without you making application. So that's very important to know that it'll be automatically done. But again, patience. We have got to, how we tell our kids to be patient. Well, I'm telling you, just like I would tell my son, you have to be patient now because this is going to take a bit. Now that's for one category of the spouses. There are some spouses like myself. I had never filed on my deceased husband's Social Security record, even though it was bigger than mine, the government pension offset. For anyone that was aware of the law and said, I'm not going to waste my time, I'm not going to file for this benefit, it is very important that you contact Social Security and make an appointment. If you're not working, if you're eligible, you have to be eligible. You have to be old enough. You can't be working and making too much money if you're under full retirement age. If you are retired and you just did not file, and you're old enough to file, you need to make application sooner rather than later, because it is not going to be retroactive to January of 2024. It can only go back retroactively 6 months from your date of application, assuming that you're full retirement age. So it's very, very important that you make application. I don't want anyone to lose any benefits. So like myself, because this law, as I said, affects me, I called Social Security in January, made an appointment, knowing that if I waited till I kept hearing if it was going to be a while, I might wait to even make application. The longer I wait, the months that I'm going to receive back money will not be paid. So I'm glad you asked that question. I want to stress that to all of the individuals that had not made applications as spouses. Those of us that have filed applications with the windfall, we know that, but it'll automatically be done. But spouses, it could just depend. Okay.
That's so good. Yeah. Wow. When I first heard about the back pay, I thought it was just across the board, 2024 for everybody. But that is a really good piece of information.
Yeah. Yeah. Social Security rules and laws are set up that the application can only go retroactive for 6 months, full retirement age for those 6 months. If it's a reduced benefit, they only go back from month of application. So it's still important to get the application, and calling and make an appointment is important. And do you mind if I spend a minute on that? If you all go to Social Security's website, which is ssa.gov, at the top of the screen, there is a place that has, it's in yellow, that is highlighted in yellow about the Fairness Act. And I encourage everyone to read all of the information because it is very well written. And the last update was February 3rd. And I want to read one thing that I read that I'd like to share with you. When you call the number, when you call their 800 number, which is 800-772-1213, and you can call Monday through Friday, from 9 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, it says. And when it says, how can I help you? Say Fairness Act, and it'll ask you a few questions, and then they will get you a representative to talk to you about it. So I wanted to share that with you as well, because that was something new that they put on here, on February 3rd. But you call and make an appointment. You can file for Social Security benefits online for retirement benefits as well as spousal benefits. So you could go online and file, but you cannot file for survivor benefits. So when I said that I called and made an appointment, Winston, I would have loved to have gone online and filled out the application. I have filled out countless number of survivor applications myself, so I could have done it very easily. But they do not do online survivor benefits. But any of you that want to go ahead and take action rather than make an appointment, just go online and make application. And that way you've protected yourself for all the retroactivity. And I'm sorry we had to go into detail on that one. That's an important one for people to receive the benefits they're entitled to receive. And that's what it's about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's much appreciated. So I know that helps somebody specifically. Sure. Okay. So we talked about the back pay a little bit. Did Social Security, and I know we're still working through some of this information, did they give any indication if it was going to be a lump sum payment, if it was going to be paid out over time for the back pay? Did they give any idea about that? They
did not. There's no indication about how it's going to be paid out, but my history with Social Security, and as you will, it's a 50-year history. It's just got a lot of years of history. They've always, whenever they pay any back payment, it's always in a lump sum. So all of the back checks should be paid in a lump sum, and that's what I anticipate. I haven't read anything different than that.
Got you. Okay. All right. So this one is a little different, and some people are wondering if they're affected by the act. People that receive railroad benefits. So those that receive a railroad benefit, are they affected by any changes within the act?
But believe it or not, they are. And as much as I know about Social Security, I am not a railroad expert, but I do know, not only because my father was a railroad man, but because of my work with Social Security and the coordination of Social Security and railroad. So if you are a railroad worker, or you're married to a railroad worker, their laws, they have their calculation. It's a 2-tier process. There is one tier of their payment is with Social Security. That's tier 1. And then tier 2 of their payments to the railroad worker or the spouses is based on the railroad work. So that tier 1 is affected by the windfall elimination provision, as well as the government pension offset. So if anyone is participating in this live stream that we have going on here, and you are receiving a railroad check, or spouses, you didn't get a spousal benefit because of it, be sure that you go on Railroad's website and contact Railroad. Because it's important that you don't miss any benefits as well.
All right, good deal. Now, this one kind of threw me off a little bit, but it's not the first time that I heard a question like this. So some people are wondering if they haven't paid in enough quarters into Social Security, does this Fairness Act give them the eligibility for Social Security?
Oh, that's a good question. So, it's kind of my answer is, it's going to be depends. So in order to draw a Social Security check, you have to have your credits. Okay. So, if I never ever worked, I'm not going to get a Social Security check because I didn't pay into it. But you could draw a Social Security check as a spouse, or a divorced spouse, or a surviving widow or widower, or a surviving divorced widow or widower. So the answer is, it depends. It depends.
Gotcha.
But if I was never married and I never worked and I never paid into Social Security, the answer is no.
Gotcha.
The answer is no.
All right. That clears it up. Okay. Do we need to do, and you answered part of this already, do we need to do anything to prompt Social Security to review our file? So for the windfall elimination provision, don't
need to review that. They're automatically going to take care of it. Patience.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
And you know what I did, Winston? I just out of curiosity, I am somewhat of a pack rat, so I decided I would go back and look and see if my initial letter that I received from Social Security when I filed for Social Security, because I'm well over the age to draw Social Security. And it did say that I was receiving a smaller benefit because of the windfall elimination provision. So everybody that is affected by the windfall elimination provision, if you take the time to find your initial award letter from Social Security, you'll know that it is documented and Social Security has record of it.
Okay. All right. Well, you answered my next question, so I'll go ahead and skip right past that one. Okay. Now, here's a good one. I was delaying my benefit because I thought I would have been affected by the windfall elimination provision. Should I continue to wait?
So the question, and I'm going to say this is another depends. So the question being, should I continue to wait to draw my Social Security because the windfall was going to affect me, or should I delay? Well, again, if you start your Social Security at 62 or under your full retirement age, it's reduced. If you wait till your full retirement age and say, I don't want to start my Social Security, and that could be the case with this individual, Every year you delay receiving your Social Security, it's increased 8%, which is a great rate of return. So the answer to that is, if you want it to be a bigger check, absolutely, you should wait. But if you were just holding off because of the windfall will not apply to you any longer. So it's one of those questions that I have to say, it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish more than anything.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. All right. My wife applied for Social Security in 2008 and was turned down because of GPO. Should she reapply now?
If the wife applied and made application and the letter says you're not eligible for any benefit because of your government pension, then they'll automatically call your record up. It wasn't a denial. What Social Security does is they just suspend your benefit because of receipt of that benefit. So the record should be there. Now, if you are uncomfortable with me saying that, you can call the 800 number, ask them to pull up your record and see if it shows that the benefit is just suspended because of this government pension offset, and confirm that. Because I don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable with what I'm saying. You can always call the 800 number. Again, it's 800-772-1213. Just call. Now, patience. I've talked a lot about patience today. Again, you may be on hold for an hour or two or so. So just have some patience.
Gotcha.
Okay. Call early or call late. They answer that phone until 7:00 at night. So calling later might be helpful as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Patience. All right. Now this is something that has started to happen since the passing of the act. Mm-hmm. So we have some teachers who have paid into Social Security, maybe for some jobs before that they had. And now they want to go to a county that doesn't pay into Social Security. Because they figure their quarters that they have paid in or years that they paid in will not be affected by it, and plan to retire out of this county that doesn't pay into Social Security. Would that have any effect on their overall calculation? Let's say they had 10 years that they paid in and then worked for another 20 years in this county that doesn't pay in.
Well, you always give me hard questions, and I always say it does affect them. I'd like to say it doesn't. But this is how it affects them. Remember at the very beginning, Winston, I said Social Security bases your Social Security on your highest 35 years of earnings. So if you have 10 years of earnings, you're going to draw a Social Security check. And then you go and have 20 years of zeros. Absolutely, you're going to be affected, not by the windfall, not by anything other than you don't have 35 years of earnings. But what I would also say, and I don't teach your retirement, so I don't know the calculation, but would you get a better pension by going to a school system that is not paying in? I can't answer that question, but I don't want you to look only at Social Security when you're making decisions, life-changing decisions about your career. You need to look at all of the pictures. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it does affect you, but look at the whole picture.
Yeah. And there are some instances where going to a county that doesn't pay into Social Security would be an increase in salary. And one thing that we recommend is that people take that portion that they would pay into Social Security and invest it on their own.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, especially if you can put in a 403B or a 457 or whatever the magic word is for your investment option with this school system. Absolutely save that money and let that money grow for you.
Oh yeah. Okay. Got a few more here. All right. So some people are concerned that this act will affect the Social Security fund. So do you have an opinion one way or the other on this?
Yeah, well, whenever a congressman or senator introduces a bill that will either pay more money to people drawing Social Security or even less money, how does it affect the solvency of Social Security? So when this law was passed, I did check thankfully, I know how the proposals go into Social Security, and I know how to read them. So when I read the proposal regarding the Fairness Act, it's written into how they would fund it. So it's going to be funded through taxes, people paying more taxes on their Social Security, because if you all don't know this, Social Security is taxed federally. So if it's taxed federally and you're going to receive more money, well, Social Security is going to receive more money for the taxes that you're going to be paid on it. So it'll be funded somewhat through that. So, I can't say that it doesn't, it's going to take some money out of the solvency, and it will change the solvency, but there's a lot of things that are affecting the solvency. So, but I think it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change. The law is law. It's passed. It's there.
That's right.
It's there.
Okay. So, if people want to find out more about this act or Social Security itself, going to Social Security website itself is the best source of information.
That's the best place. That's the best place to get the information. And I looked today, knowing that we were going to talk today. I went on the website just to make sure that the information around regarding the Fairness Act, was it updated again since February 3rd? February 3rd. And it has not been updated. So that's the most current information. I think that's important that you go to the website and look at it. Okay. But it's we covered a lot of ground here.
Oh yeah.
A lot of ground.
Yeah, we sure did. Did. So, that being said, any last pieces of advice you want to leave the audience with?
I wrote down a note to myself, and I think that basically what my note is to make sure that we have patience more than anything, regarding the WEP, and all of that back money. And even if you filed for spousal benefits, have patience. But those of you that are eligible for a spousal benefit and did not apply for a spousal benefits, knowing that you weren't going to get anything because of your pension, I encourage you to make application right away. Even if you go online tonight, just do it. Just do it. And I wish everybody well. Patience.
Patience. All right. Well, thank you. You've been patient with us. This has been so good. Thank you for coming again.
Thank you,
and one of these days we'll let you retire, but you are in high demand. So I'm sure this is going to be a hit.
I keep telling Winston every year, this is my last year. And he keeps talking me out of it. So we're still having fun. So we'll do it.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, and thank you all for joining us. So this wraps up this session of TRS Talks, our live stream series. So make sure that you're liking and subscribing to watch this video again, and make sure that you're sharing it with your family, friends, and coworkers. And if you haven't, make sure that you log into your TRS account, sign up for a TRS account, and designate your beneficiaries to make sure that they get what's owed to them. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you have a great day.